Kendra, thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fine. First of all, I have to ask because we have our Thanksgiving in October here in Canada. You had your Thanksgiving this week. How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was really good. It was super chill. So yeah, got to eat my feelings away after being run out, which is always nice. Lots of mashed potatoes.
No, you've been able to sit back and now watch everything that's been going on. How'd you feel watching last week's episode back?
Watching last week's episode back, I didn't know Katora had squealed me out to D that quickly. So that felt pretty bad. I was pretty shocked by that just because I didn't I guess for me,
Yeah.
I think Katora might have lumped me in with the rest of the Bello, lying to her about Bruce's idol, but knowing about Bruce's idol. But in reality, I found out about it the same day she did. And, I think that she's just like, Bello needs to go behind, and I'm stepping onto a new path. And unfortunately, I caught the damage of that.
Now, did you get a sense that it early on or after the merge that it was going to be Reba versus Bello, that they were going to target you guys? Did you have any sense of that back at camp, or did things seem kind of fluid?
I did have a sense of that.
Yeah.
However, after New Bello, I continued a really good relationship, and maybe like pseudo, like kind of an alliance with Drew, Emily, and Austin. And so, although that is not very shown, you can kind of see it in me and Drew talking together on the six split vote. Me not putting Drew's name out for that. Also, Emily kind of advocating for me a bit in this last episode as much as she could, without giving her, position away. But so our thing moving forward was no tribal lines. Us four are going to move forward because we were just such a misfit
Yeah.
group of people to be working together. I was like, oh, this will be perfect. No one would ever guess that we were working together. I was still loyal to Kelly and Katora, and they still have their foot in Reba. There were genuine connections there, and I did see a potential way forward with them. So I always wanted to keep that channel open with those three.
Now, for people watching the show, I mean, you have Bruce, who is Bruce, and then you have yourself. So completely opposite people trying to work together. How was it like working with Bruce, and how was it like living with Bruce? Because obviously you're a totally different personality. Even at the lowest, you're still positive, right?
Yeah, even when I feel like I'm being aggressive, I'm still being pretty chipper. And so I think production was like, let's put the two most different people in the season on the same tribe and see how that works out. And I guess for me, in challenges, we worked so well together. And I think at camp, him and I were, building the shelter was really fun for me. And it's really important for me to be a part of like what's going on at camp. So I always felt like him and I were always like working and we were on the same level. But personally, we were never able to get there really until, at least for me, that the chicken reward. He
Yeah.
kind of let his guard down a little bit. And I am somebody who is very adaptable. And Bruce is a little bit more rigid, maybe on the stubborn side, kind of set in his way, which is not a negative or a positive thing. People just are who they are. And
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
for me, it's a little hard to like work or live with somebody who doesn't really have a lot of mobility in what they want to do or how they perceive things. And so I found it extremely difficult, especially choosing on the day I go out to be like, all right, there's a confessional that wasn't shown. But I'm like, I never thought I would say this, but I gotta work with Bruce. I'm going all in on Bruce. We gotta work together. I gotta rally him. And I felt like that could move forward after, connecting in the sanctuary. And we finally connected on a personal level. I was like, I kind of like this guy. I could see some like redeemable qualities, and I can always find a redeemable quality with anyone. And I did see a way for us to move forward, but I don't think he necessarily saw the same thing.
Now we saw you. You were really upset when Kelly was voted off, and I spoke to her obviously last week, and she had talked about wanting to go forward with you and the bond you guys. What brought you guys two together?
It was pretty much, I would say, within like after we do introductions at Bello, we kind of take the same path and we ran into the woods together and we're like, okay. And we really didn't even say anything to each other. There's just like a natural chemistry that you get when you meet somebody. And, afterward, when we're at Ponderosa, we're like, I could have been the Amanda to your Parvati. I wanted a more physical threat. Like I'm tall and very physical, love the challenges. And I'm a little bit unassuming at times because I kind of wanted to lean into this spiritual woo girl thing. And then I just wanted a ride or die. That was my big thing. I just wanted somebody, and I felt that with Kelly, and I think we felt it with each other. And it was kind of just like this unspoken bond that we really didn't need to check in on. And of course, I saw her as a player, and the strategy might not be my biggest thing, but I'm a great asset and I'm a great alliance member. So, we just were kind of two peas in a pod.
Now tell us about, we didn't get to see this, but tell us about the visit you had at the beginning of the season, because we didn't see anything about it. We only heard snippets. So tell us about what happened.
I know y'all really missed out on some true entertainment with Kendra at Lulu. Like, just imagine that. Like, whoa. And so I get on the boat and there's like a little board there for me with a message that says you have a vote at tonight's tribal council. I thought I was just going over there. I didn't know I was able to vote.
Right.
So able to vote at the tribal council. You can use this to cause chaos, or you can use this to like build alliances. And I was like, oh, let's cause some chaos. I got to Lulu Beach and it couldn't be any more chaotic. Right. It was, you can only imagine. Unfortunately, it was never shown, but I get there, Sean and Sabaya greet me in the water. We're politicking, we're hitting it off immediately. I was kind of waiting on if I was going to tell anyone that I had a vote. I eventually tell Sabaya and Sean that I have a vote. I go, I want to tell you this in case, if we lose and you guys get to send someone over for our first tribal council, y'all need to work with me.
Yeah.
We need to get Bruce out. And so, I was able to kind of use that as leverage. That was my first piece of information to be able to use in the game. And so connected with them. I also connected with Emily. She was on the outs and I could see that she needed a friend. And so I kind of went over to her, gave her a hug, let her spill her guts to me. We're chatting and I was like, what do you want to do? And even though I knew I was already working with Sabaya, Sean, whoever they wanted to get out, we would get out.
Yeah.
But she was like, let's get out Caleb. I'm like, you want to get out Caleb? Let's get out Caleb. I was like, I'll see what I can do. Also, I'm saying this. I'm like, I already see Caleb as a threat. If I could get him out now, cool. Yeah. So we kind of talked together and I feel like I was like the only person who was really being a friend to her at that time. And so when it moved forward to the vote, I wasn't voting Emily. I voted Brandon that night, actually. I casted a vote at Tree Mail before we went to tribal. And I was also sat through that tribal. So you can only imagine the facial expressions that I had during that tribal. Oh my God. It was, oh my gosh, y'all really missed out. Right. And so, that's kind of how that went down. And I had casted a vote for Brandon and Sabaya knew I had casted a vote for Emily, for Brandon. And last minute they'd switch it to Emily. And I was like, maybe I should switch it to Brandon because I wanted to keep Emily in this game, knowing that she was causing chaos and knowing that if she by any chance makes it to merge, who to come to.
Now, what a lot of people don't know, and again, you spoke about this a little bit, but you were actually, that fall, you actually injured on the show. Tell us a little bit about what happened to you.
Yeah, I have a small fracture in my caucus bone. So it kind of like dipped in a little bit. And I was in pain all of the show for sure. I'm in physical therapy now. Everything's feeling a little bit better, but I can't really sit down for long periods of time. So I think that really, during challenges, I wouldn't say that it affected me much because I'm just so crazy competitive. It doesn't matter. Like I'm going to push through whatever to win.
Wow.
But after the challenges and like recovering, like it really, like, I feel like I wasn't able to be super present when we got back from challenges because I was dealing with the pain.
Now, besides obviously the visit we didn't get to see at the beginning, was there anything about your journey you wish fans would have saw, whether it was a moment, a bond, anything of that nature besides that?
Yeah, I guess Me, Emily, and Drew just kind of like definitely like being a unit, and even Austin. When I blurt out to Julie at the sanctuary saying, "Oh, I think Austin and Dee have something going on," I also tell Drew and Emily. And so
Yeah.
I'm starting to kind of plant this seed, which I felt was like very, very true, to the rest of the people on just playing the game. And I feel like, I can kind of be seen as out there, but I really was reading the game, and I was really reading people. And I think there's things left out that kind of didn't really show my reads or my strategic side. It kind of leaned into my goofiness, which is totally fine. That is totally who I am. But I'm in it, my head's in it. So
Now, one final question. Obviously, you have a big decision coming up. You obviously can't say who you voted for, but when you were thinking about who you wanted to win, who do you want to represent the season, what kind of things were you weighing in your mind? Because it must have been a tough decision.
well, it was a tough decision. And I know that the biggest thing for me is I really wanted to be proud of
Right.
who our winner was. I really wanted to be proud. I wanted the person who won to be somebody who it took Survivor, you know, and got all the juice out of it that they could. I wanted them to be somebody who got everything out of their Survivor experience as possible, and who didn't take a moment for granted. So that was really important for me. Like just being like, this is a once in a lifetime potentially opportunity. What are
Yeah.
you going to do with it? What did you do with this to like not let a moment go to waste? And I'm even talking like, I hope you're out there enjoying the water. Like, I hope you're out there enjoying, like, trying to fish. I hope you're doing whatever like brought you joy. And yes, of course, the game's important. And like, that's part of like getting all the juice you can out of your Survivor experience. But being proud of the person who won, and knowing that they didn't take anything for granted, because I would have given anything to be sitting where they were. So that was what was important for me.
Well, again, Kendra, thanks once again for taking the time to talk to us. All the best of you in the future. And it was great watching you on the show. You were definitely made your imprint on Survivor for sure.
Thanks so much, Sean. Have a great day.
Hey, you too. Take care.